Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sambuddhassa. Buddhang saranang gacchami. Dhammang saranang gacchami. Sanghang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Panatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Adinadana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Kamesu miccachara veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Musawada veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Surameraya majjapama veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Now let us do a short sitting on loving kindness. In the loving kindness practice, we begin by using some words. We call it sub-verbalization. In other words, you say it in your heart, in your mind. Various sentences. Normally one or two sentences repeated for each stage is enough. And the smiling is important. It helps to focus. And also we use visualization. We picture a happy event, a happy place, a happy person. Visualize the person. If you can't visualize the person, it's all right. You can use the person's name so that you have some connection with these people. If you are focused enough, it is reported that these people actually can sense it, this distant connection, especially if you are close psychically, you're close spiritually, close emotionally. And it's always good to start connecting with people. In stage one, we place ourselves as the key object, the key person. We use words like, may I be well. May I be well. Say those words by way of instructing your mind to be well. Say it 2-3 times. And then silently feel the wellness in your body and mind. And smile. May I be happy. May I be happy. Say the sentence 2-3 times. Feel happy in body and mind, your whole being. and smile, inner smile. May I be at peace with myself. May I be at peace with myself. I accept myself just as I am. I accept myself just as I am, and smile. Choose one or two sentences that you like, or you can use your own, and repeat the sentences slowly, then feel it. On the next page, picture the kindest person that you know, the most wonderful friend you have, someone still living, still alive, a relative, a friend, or a teacher. Picture this person happy, smiling, sitting in front of you, or sitting beside you. If you cannot visualize the person, then use the name. Feel a connection with this person. And tell this person all the loving kindness thoughts as you have done before for yourself. Now send it to this person as if you are talking directly with this person. May you be well. May you be well. Send your thoughts to this person, thoughts of wellness, and smile. May you be happy. May you be happy. May you be at peace with yourself. May you be at peace with yourself. I accept you just as you are. I accept you just as you are. And smile. Now in the center of your heart, Picture a beautiful white lotus, a small lotus flower, and this lotus flower is shining with the light of your loving kindness. It's radiant with loving kindness. And it's opening, it's blossoming, shining brighter than the sun itself with the light of your loving kindness, brightening up your whole body. And the light is shining outwards, brightening everything around you, all the space around you, brightening up your room and all the beings there. And shining this light of loving kindness upon your best friend, now shine this light outwards over a bigger perimeter, bigger area, your whole house, and everyone in it. Wish them well and happy, and smile. Then slowly, as you wish, extend the brightness over a bigger and bigger area, especially when you're doing on your own. So take some time, extend the brightness into your neighbors' homes and surrounding, and then the neighborhood. May everyone be well and happy. May they be friendly with each other. May there be peace in our neighborhood. And go on extending it in that way over a bigger area and covering the whole town, slowly even the whole country. And as you remember the people important to you, send your loving kindness to them. We have the whole world in front of us through the internet. We are connected with a network of friends, of wonderful people. Send your loving kindness, as I am sending my loving kindness to each and every one of you here, connected on the internet. So we send each other loving kindness, forging this very strong net of bright light of loving kindness. May you be well. May you be well. May you be happy. May you be happy. May you always be at peace with yourself, even in difficult times. there is this peace inside you, enveloping you. I accept you just as you are. I accept you just as you are. At this stage, if you like, picture your loved ones, family members and friends, one by one or as a group, and wish them well and happy, as if you're talking to them directly. And now we come to the most important stage. This is the last stage. It's called breaking the barriers. Breaking the barriers. That means no barrier, no limits. We send out our loving kindness boundlessly, immeasurably, as taught by the Buddha. We shine this bright light of loving kindness from our heart, brighten the front quarter, the front directions, bright with loving kindness. May all the beings in the front quarter be well and happy. And smile. May all the beings in the quarter to the right be well and happy. Smile. May all the beings in the directions at the back be well and happy. Shine the bright light of loving kindness all over the back quarter. May all the beings in the directions to the left be well and happy. Brighten the left quarter with your radiant loving kindness. May all the beings in the directions below be well and happy. Brighten the quarter below with your radiant loving kindness. May all the beings in the directions above be well and happy. Brighten the quarter above, the zenith, with your radiant loving kindness. May all beings everywhere be well and happy. Brighten up all the directions with your loving kindness. And now picture this bright light coming back into your heart, where it started. This is to remind us there is this brightness in our heart, this loving kindness that is always there. May I be well and happy. Remember this heart of loving kindness, this brightness in the center of your life. It's always there. Now we review our practice. Remember the peaceful moments, joyful moments, the radiant moments. Even for a split second, you felt good and happy. Remember that. This will help you in your future meditations or whenever you need inner peace. Before we end, we slowly open our eyes, just sitting for a short while. We begin our meditation slowly, gently. We end it also slowly, gently. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, very good. And now, begin with our talk. Let me connect first. Yeah, green. Okay, right. You should be seeing the full screen, right?
Yes,
Okay,
yeah.
very good. Okay, this is our TP12, training for the path. So the idea here is to understand the Eightfold Path, to help us practice so that we will aspire to stream winning in this life itself. This is important because we only have a human body, but our mind keeps wavering in a subhuman state. If we're very angry, then we are on an animal level. And if we are greedy for something, we are on the preta level. If we are very violent and helping level, and so on. When we are generous, we are kind, we are peaceful, we're full of love, yeah, that's a human level. And when you are in deep focus, especially in jhana, we say that's the divine level in meditation language. So this is the 12th installment. So we're talking about right mindfulness, that part 3, no? Okay, let's trying to liven up this. Let me see. Okay, that's good. So we're talking about Satipatthana. In fact, in this series, you find we're talking a lot. I've been talking a lot about the teachings from the Satipatthana Sutta, M10 especially, Majjhima number 10, right? So the Buddha's teachings are all interconnected, right? We talk about the path. We also can talk about Satipatthana in terms of meditation, also refers to the path, because you got to start with keeping the precepts, and then you train your mind, and then wisdom arises. Okay. So in the Sutta called Mana Dina Sutta, principle S47.30, the Buddha says that Satipatthana is the way leading to cultivation of focuses of mindfulness. Okay, the Buddha's teachings about cultivating focuses of mindfulness, how to focus our minds on the right thing, beginning with the body, because we have the body. Then there is another Satipatthana Bhikkhu Sutta and also the Bahiya Sutta. The conditions, the prerequisites of Satipatthana, focuses of mindfulness, are mentioned as beginning with moral virtue and straightened view. Now this is very interesting, because you may think, oh, what's this? Moral virtue and then straightened view, are they new teachings? Very often the Buddha would use new words, right? But it refers back to familiar teachings. So you look at the pink moral virtue, it divides up, or it expands into 3, 4, 5 limbs, number 3, 4, 5 of the path. In order to practice moral virtue, in other words, to keep our body, to prepare our body for meditation, so that the body doesn't distract us, we must have right speech. Because if we say wrong things, we get into a lot of situations or difficulties, and this impact on us. We remember this, and then this will come back in the stillness of our meditation. So we don't want that. Of course, we can always avoid situations you hear rough words and so on, but as long as you initiate right speech, and that memory is clean and clear for you, and then right action, right, through your body. So speech and body go together to work to purify your moral virtue, your body and mind. And of course, our work also is included here, right? Livelihood. As fast as possible, our work should not make us feel unhappy, you know, and sad, and so on. So we have to at least we should leave our work behind once we are finished with it. Sometimes we have no choice. So when you come home from work, just leave your work where it is, and you come home as a free person, happy person. That's one way out. But if your work is happy work too, that's wonderful, right? So these are the 3 aspects of moral virtue. Then we come to straightened view. So it's not just view, it's straightened view, because views by itself is only one way of looking at something, right? So you have right view. In other words, you look at something in the right way, meaning seeing that it is impermanent to begin with. And the next thing is your desire to learn, is that the intention, the purpose is to be free from suffering, basically. We're not learning Buddhism to make money or to cheat people or to acquire wealth, but to be happy, to be wise, to be free from suffering. A very nice way of putting this practice in terms of Satipatthana, the Eightfold Path, is to say the practice of early Buddhism is to know the mind, to train the mind, and to free the mind. That's another way of putting it, right? So here you are, in the straightened view, is to know the mind, right? We see what kind of thoughts and views our mind has, and we straighten it. And then what plans we have to do, what intentions we have, make sure it's rooted in greed, in non-greed, non-hate, non-delusion. Non-greed is charity, generosity, non-greed in love, compassion, and then non-delusion, that is wisdom. Right, then we look at Satipatthana as meditation practice, then you have limbs number 6, 7, 8 of the Eightfold Path, right? So you see 6 right effort, and right effort first you start with the 2 negative aspects. If something, a bad habit you have not been doing it, then keep it like that. The action of non-action, like not drinking, not smoking, just keep it that way. That's also right effort, keeping it that way. Then the second right effort is whatever unwholesome habits you have now, you stop it, right? Like not exerting effort, not enough effort, or we feel a little lazy, right? So we tell ourselves, okay, I'm going to be a bit more diligent. That's right effort. And then 3 and 4, the next pair are the wholesome actions, right? Whatever wholesome action you have not done before. For example, you've not meditated before, you have not done breath meditation before, you do it again. So that initial effort is right effort. And then 4th right effort, you continue doing it, right? So those are the 4 right efforts. And that builds up to right mindfulness, and you can see number 7, right mindfulness is in bold, because this is what the topic that we are looking into some detail here. And of course, here when we talk about right mindfulness in detail, we're talking about the 4 Satipatthāna, we're talking about the 4 focuses of mindfulness. And if you do this properly, what happens, right? It leads to right concentration. And for the rest of this evening, we're going to look at this, what I've just said just now, right concentration and so on. So this is in summary the Noble Eightfold Path. Now, we have been hearing all this very often, but it's very important to hear it again and to remind us that we are on the right track. Because the mind always assumes, okay, I already hear this, I know this, okay, and then we just set it aside, and then we don't think about it anymore. Okay, so this is the scholars' way, the scholars' view. They don't practice what they learn. What they learn is just to be kept in the mind and to discuss in class, and that's it, right? But the way we learn is different. The way we learn is to learn to live. These are programmings from the Buddha's teaching. We are learning and then adjusting our lives so that we live in a way which is clearer, happier, and freer. Right, so we're talking about meditation here. Right mindfulness begins with meditation, and of course one of the most basic thing is doing it in the right places. How do we know where did the teaching about the right places come from? It comes from Satipaṭṭhāna Sutta, of course, near the beginning. So the Buddha says, he, that is the meditator, resorts to a secluded dwelling. So that's the key word, secluded dwelling. In other words, you can be by yourself, and no one will disturb you. And this, of course, the first place is a forest. In the Buddhist time, the forest opposite of the town, the city, the village. In the Buddhist time, Indian society is becoming more civilized, townified, becoming industrialized in manner of speaking. People are living in more crowded, working together, specialization in economy and so on. So it's very crowded, and that causes problems. So the Buddha is giving alternative life where people can practice peacefully on their own in the forest. And this is a very popular tradition. Even other people, other religious people are also doing this. So you can see here, this is a very typical temperate forest, lots of space. This is not This is not your usual, this is not equatorial forest, not because forests in Malaysia or Singapore, you find lots of undergrowth, yeah, right? So you have two kinds of growth. One is looks like this when you say growth, and the other one is very wild. Okay, so this is cultivated. Usually there's an owner and he takes care of it. The other one is a wild growth, and that's where the Buddha will look for a clearing, and then he will stay there. Okay, so he wears his robes, and probably there's some kind of shade, but usually the Buddha will be traveling outside the 3 or 4 months of rain. So that period there'll be no rain, the weather will be not too bad. Of course, there will come with the cold weather where they have to like dress extra. So that's how they live in the open air in India. Of course, you can't do this quite freely in, say, in Europe or in Northern Asia, but you can do this in spring, summer, okay? Maybe perhaps early autumn. And usually they will live at the foot of a tree, a large tree, which will be safe during storms. If it does rain, okay, it'll be safe for you. In the daytime, you'll be free from the heat. And trees have this sense of, you know, peace, ancient trees. And for some reason, you feel good when you sit near a tree, at the foot of a tree. And you can be a mountain. You choose a safe corner of the mountain, a quiet place. Mountains, you have glens. A glen is a deep valley in between mountains. So many of them in Scotland. Okay. It is a beautiful valley, kind of a plain, a meadow, deep in the mountains, or a hillside cave, a mountain cave. Of course, forest monks, they know very well. You got to be very careful before you go into the cave. Make sure there are no animals living there. You're safe. So normally they do lots of metta before they use that place. Usually, once you have a human presence of these animals, these bigger animals, they will go away. It's the other animals like scorpions and snakes, and this is what you have to be careful. But you have to like clear up the place a bit. So these are basic rules to be taught by the forest monks if you do that, if you go to meditate in such areas. Now, in ancient India, you also have a charnel ground. Charnel ground is where the corpses are left to be eaten up by worms and animals and so on. So it's quite a gory place, but it is a place where you can see the bodies rotting in different stages. So the monks will, if they need, you will go there, and there are rules to follow. For example, you stand upwind, you don't stand downwind, because that's where all the smell and germs will come to you. The Buddha didn't mention germs; they did not know about germs those days, but definitely from the smell, you know it's not a good thing to stand downwind. So you stand upwind, and then if you are a monk, you look at the male corpse, you know, you don't look at the female corpse and so on. So that's for meditation, the stages of the decomposition of the body. You do this with proper guidance. You should not do this on your own. That's a charnel ground. Today we call it a cemetery, just any cemetery, you know. And they're quite safe places in our local cemeteries. And the jungle grove, right? So this one is a kind of open space in the jungle. They are usually quite pleasant and quiet. And in the open air, especially during those non-rain seasons, open air is quite safe, quite nice, in a full moon above, or a heap of straw. A heap of straw is more like a general statement. It could be anywhere. That is for your comfort. So you get some dry grass or dry leaves and sit on it. Or you can fold up the ropes. The monks will fold up their rope and sit on the ropes. So this is the physical preparation for your meditation. And it's often said these monks, after going on the alms round and after they've taken their meal, they will sit down and cross their legs. This is the best way they can do it in the forest. There are no chairs or stools there. And they keep their body upright for the health of their spine. Or they can lean against a tree. and establishes mindfulness before him, in front of you. Well, it's not literally in front, although we do have that kind of feeling. Here it means to be mindful. Right? If your mind is behind you, you're not mindful. So the interesting thing here is it's not easy to meditate after meals. So here the idea is the monks, after they have a meal, they will just sit quietly and then kind of resting as well as meditating. Right, so and this is a very helpful habit, especially if you're in a busy place, you can't lie down, so you just sit and meditate. It's a good excuse not to talk to people, and you can meditate and have a good rest. So this is the practice. Now this is from the Danta Bhūmi Sutta, M125, right? Danta Bhūmi. Danta here doesn't mean dental, doesn't mean teeth, because that's one sense of it. Here it's a participle adjective for training. Bhūmi is ground, okay? The ground for training. The discourse on stages of training, M125. So this is where we get this excerpt from, suitable meditation places. Then the focuses of mindfulness as tethers for the mind. Here you can see this elephant is safely docile, tied to a strong pole. See, that pole must be very strong, but even then, if this elephant is really angry, it can actually pull out the pole if it wants to, but normally it'd be quite enough. So that's the strong beam in the ground, and then that rope is called a tether, okay? So here the body is the Buddha is talking to a certain Brahmin by the name of Agivesana. Just as an elephant tamer or elephant trainer sinks a large post into the ground, to the earth, and binds a forest elephant to it by the neck, right? So he ties this forest elephant, which is quite fierce, not yet domesticated, not used to humans. So there he has to be tied there, so you get used to humans, get used to the village, in order to subdue his habits and thoughts of the forest. Okay, so he gets used to going into the village, to be among people, and to instill in him ways pleasing to humans. So it doesn't hurt humans, but it can in fact serve and help human beings. So this is how humans domesticate animals like elephants, horses, and so on. Even so, right? So once you see the word even so, the Buddha is relating to the Dharma. These four focuses of mindfulness are tethers for the mind of the noble disciple. So if you want to be a noble disciple, you train your mind, right? So the tether is the training to subdue the habits of a household life. Right? As lay people, we used to talking a lot, all kinds of things with people, drinking, gambling, getting drunk, and so on and so forth. So these are household habits. So it's not that they are bad. I mean, we enjoy all this, and when holidays come, we just do that. And of course, after that, you pay for it, and you feel tired, you feel plastered, as they say, and you have to take a holiday from the holiday. So here, basically, in the focuses of mindfulness, Satipatthāna, we set aside those tiring household habits, those time-consuming household habits, not very rewarding household habits for a while, like you're coming here listening to this study, you know. So that's what it's like the elephant being tamed. We are using the focuses of mindfulness to tame our own minds and to free ourselves from the trouble, torture, and fever of the world, right? So you find, yes, the world has many nice things to offer, right? People feel very happy, we got lots of money, and then after that you find, wow, there's a lot of problems too. So you have to know how to stay safe, basically, right? It's not that we, as laymen, we should stop doing all those business deals and so on. It's not that. It's that if you're really wise, that right, there is the wise shopkeeper. You know, there's a sutta on the wise shopkeeper. What this shopkeeper knows what to do. He knows how to maximize his profit. He knows when to stop. He knows when to invest. Then he's happy. He's a safe entrepreneur. Then he keeps away from things in the world that causes all kinds of problems, torture, no? Fever of the world, here things which draw us and gives us all this wrong idea and then get caught up and lost in it. To free our minds. And when your mind is totally free, we say realize nirvana, right? So here again, this is from the Danta Bhūmi Sutta about training the mind. So the 4 stations of mindfulness, 4 focuses of mindfulness, is to hold our mind down so that it doesn't run wild. First, we hold it to the body by watching the body, and then to feelings, and then to the mind, finally to aspects of reality. So here we'll be looking a bit on the mind-based meditation. We've already done body-based, right? Feeling-based, so this is mind-based. Contemplation of the mind, citta-nupassana. Okay, citta means mind that can be developed, and nupassana to kind of contemplate, guided by watching it. So here the Buddha says in the Satipatthana Sutta, he understands it as follows. It here is the mind. So this is when you start meditating, you see your mind as it is. All right, you don't immediately see, oh, this beautiful bright mind. You don't. You see this mind, a worldly mind, a lustful mind. Okay, so accept it as it is. We can't pretend it is not so. Okay, it's a lustful mind. Take it as a lustful mind. That's the first noble truth. You know it. What your meditation has begun. In other words, you meditate and you hear sounds, and the sound disturb you. Smile, be happy because you have started meditating already. Because outside of meditation, you don't even know that the sound distracts you, right? And then after a while, you have let go of all those thoughts. Those ripples of open up and then they've died down, right? It's a lust-free mind. They say, oh, this is peaceful. My mind is free from lust, from desire. So know your mind as it is. Sometimes you have a hating mind. Like you hear someone making a lot of noise, talking, and you feel some sense of anger arising. That's a hating mind. So don't own it. Just say, okay, wow, this is a hating mind. You know, and then the mind goes away, and you sense it for a while. You notice the hate going away. Okay, then you kind of smile. You're happy, and you say, hate-free mind. Okay. So you know the mind as it is, like that. This is called contemplation of the mind. And then here we have deluded mind. Of course, it's quite tricky, this one. You only know this after the fact, right? So sometimes when you travel, especially in a moving vehicle, for example, you see buildings and you look at those buildings, very nice design, and then you thought it looks like something. And then later when the car moves ahead to a different angle, you say, oops, there's something else. You know? So your mind got deluded. My favorite story is this train, a stationary train, and there's a light rain falling. Then I notice, oh, it's raining, and all this water is falling straight down, perpendicularly down. And then slowly the train moves out of the station, and as the train moves, I look at the window, I look at the drops of rain. They also seem to be moving at an angle, right? I told myself, oh wow, it's as if like the wind is blowing the rain, so it's blowing at an angle. And then when the train moves fast, the rain is like flying by horizontally. All right. I said, wow, this wind is very strong and this rain is passing by horizontally. All right. And then the train slows down, and then I noticed something very strange. This rain also starts going down, slowly becoming vertical again. I said, this can't be. There's something odd here. So then I realized it's not, the rain doesn't change direction. It's my own perception because of the moving train. When the train moves, we think the rain is going from vertical to horizontal, right? So I was deluded. That's okay. That's the deluded mind. That's how you acknowledge it. Okay, so it has to do with perception also. Then when you know it for what it is, you say, okay, now the mind is undiluted. The mind is clearer. It sees the rain as it is. So simple things like that. You know your mind, and this is how you become wise, by understanding what your mind is, how it works. Now, a narrow mind is when this mind is lazy, sloth and torpor, sleepy, tired. That's called a narrow mind. Okay, and then, well, if that's the case, you just need to rest, a short, deep rest, and then you have distracted mind. Here, distracted mind refers to the mind is troubled by restlessness or worry. Okay, restlessness. You think about the end of the meditation before it comes. You say, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and you feel like getting up and doing it. Or you think of the past, and then you start worrying, and your mind gets distracted. So let go of all that, okay? So these are hindrances. We got to clear away. And here, a great mind means all the hindrances have been overcome, and you are able to attain some deep focus, or even jhana itself, okay? And the small mind is just the opposite of it. It is still not able to get that focus yet. That's the meaning here, okay? And then, now this term surpassable mind and unsurpassable mind, it seems like we are slowly losing the understanding of this. You know, some parts of the sutta we don't understand for many of us, because the commentaries don't mention it. It seems like you got to really practice, and then you get to know other parts of the sutta better, and then slowly this part will be clear to you by way of trajectory and you know, putting the pieces together. So some teachers say the surpassable mind actually is the same as the previous one, the great mind, where your mind is able to meditate deep enough. I usually have a simple principle. Take the word for what it is, surpassable mind. Here, in other words, when you meditate, if the mind is surpassable, that means you can rise above it. You can grow beyond it. Okay, whereas unsurpassable means you're stuck with it. You cannot get out of it. So it's just describing the situation our mind gets in, and how to recognize it, and then free your mind and go on to meditate. So we don't worry about the exact definition of each of these terms and then go into details. That's not the way. This is just to help us understand the nature of the mind, and then free our mind and move on in our meditation. Of course, the next pair is very clear. A concentrated mind, the mind's focus, all the hindrances are gone. It is with the object of meditation. And unconcentrated is just the opposite. We still need to focus the mind. Okay, so these are to know the mind. You have one more, last one. Finally, the freed mind. Okay, the mind is free. Here again, you do not notice at that time, because you are enjoying it, you're very happy and very peaceful. When you come out of meditation, during the review period, you look back and say, oh, okay, my mind was freed just now. So in a sense, your mind also is freed at that time when you come out of the meditation. Okay, unfreed, that means you still have to free the mind from whatever is holding your mind back, whatever hindrance is there. So these are all the guidance for you to understand the nature of the mind, how to tame it. Now here, when we talk about Satipatthana, there are two views. Some teachers say we got to practice Satipatthana first. Some teachers say you got to practice jhana first. Okay, of course, what does the sutta say? Like, that's the most important thing to us. All right, the sutta would say both things. So now what we have to do is we got to find out which do we apply at which level, or at which point, right? What to do at the right time, basically. So let's look at the Satipatthana with dhyana from the Bhikkhuni Vasaka Sutta, as for the 7.10. Dealing with hindrances while practicing Satipatthana. So this is quite a common experience. While you are doing your Satipatthana, you find the hindrances arise and you got to deal with them, right? So here, the Buddha says he reflects us, the meditator reflects us. The purpose for the sake of which I have directed my mind has been achieved. Let me now withdraw it. Now here, this is called directed meditation, where you direct your mind. Let's say you have been distracted, so you direct your mind to watching the breath a while, or you direct your mind to loving kindness for a while, and then you find it's very peaceful. Then you turn your mind to a deeper level of meditation. Let me now withdraw it. That's the meaning here. So you have directed meditation here. Okay. So these are teachings in terms of techniques. So he withdraws the mind and he neither applies nor sustains it. Neither apply nor sustains it means undirected meditation. So you just let the mind be, meaning let it be peaceful, let it grow by itself. Okay? He understands without initial application and sustained application, internally mindful, I am joyful and happy. This is the jhana. You see, in the first jhana, there is some remnants of thinking, initial application. You bring your mind to the object, and then you keep it there. There's a slight thought, the subtle thinking. Okay, so by this level, all the thoughts are gone. Right? You are internally mindful. That means there is no thinking really, but the mind is there untroubled. That's the meaning. So here is language is quite tricky, quite difficult to use language in this deep level of meditation. So this is the closest you can get. And then I am joyful. So here you got to imagine the state, or recall something you have experienced. How did you feel happy? By letting go of previous states, internally mindful, then I'm happy, or simply happy. Okay, so and you stay there for a while. In this way, Ananda, there is directed cultivation, pani daya bhavana. Okay, so stage 1, stage 2 of your breath meditation is they are directed meditation. You keep on directing your mind until you feel peaceful, and then the mind will become more calm and bright, happy. Then you don't have to say any more words, like in the third stage of the breath meditation. Okay, so that's called undirected meditation. Okay, looks like we are studying 9 o'clock, so we'll take a short, about 5 minutes break, and we'll come back to this section 6, which we are about halfway, just less than halfway in our study today. Okay, so it's a short break right now.
Yes, thank you, Piya. We'll take a 5-minute break.
Right, let us continue. Now, when you look at the Satipatthāna Sutta, the M10 and the Mahasatipatthana Sutta, near the beginning of the instructions, there's the mention of covetousness and displeasure. We have to overcome covetousness and displeasure, abhijja domanassa. These are quite big words, but actually covetousness really means desire, especially desiring what other people have. Displeasure is the feeling of discontent, unhappiness when you can't get it. So basically, this refers to desire and the opposite of it. Okay. This, in fact, is a short form. Okay, it signifies the first 2 hindrances, or nivarana. First 2 hindrances are sensual desire and ill will. So it's a shorthand, what is called a synecdoche. It's a Greek rhetorical term meaning short form for the 5 mental hindrances. These are the 5 things that prevent us from focusing our mind to attain samadhi and jhana. Jhana is deeper samadhi. Number 1 is sensual desire. Basically, it means we are drawn away we are distracted by our senses, eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and the mind also is included. So sensual desire means body-based distraction, including thoughts. Then the opposite of it is ill will, right? So when you cannot get something that you see, hear, smell, taste, touch that you like, you feel unhappy about it. That's the number two. And sometimes when we meditate, we have this swing between like and dislike that go back and forth in our mind. It's kind of like fighting. And when you do that, you get tired, you get sleepy, sloth and torpor, right? One way of looking at this is the body feels tired, the mind also feels bored, right? So sloth and torpor. And there comes a point where the mind is so tired, it becomes restless, okay? It becomes so bored, it becomes restless, and it starts thinking about this, thinking about that, right? But more specifically, we talk of restlessness and worry in terms of past and future, right? When you think of the future, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and you get restless. If you allow past thoughts to come and then you start thinking about the past and you start worrying, oh, I've done this, I should have done that, right? So these are thoughts we should let go of. And the fifth hindrance is doubt. Am I doing the right method? Am I progressing? We keep asking ourselves that instead of practicing. Okay, so this doubt is, in other words, we are drawn away from what actual practice. We're thinking about other things. And one of the funniest doubt is people ask themselves, am I meditating? Of course, the simple answer is no. Whenever you ask that, no. When you meditate, you don't ask such question, you just do it. So these are the 5 hindrances. So here, the method, says the Buddha, is on seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, thinking. Notice thinking is mentioned. We do not grasp at its signs or details, right? So the first sign of it that arises, don't get drawn to it. Because, for example, you hear sound, you say, what's that? And then you want to examine the details, the little smaller parts of it, so that you get lost. No? So now we come to the last of the 4 Satipatthāna, dharma-based meditation, dhammanupassana, the reality-based meditation. Reality here are teachings of the Buddha that reflect reality outside. Okay. But for example, when you meditate deep in your meditation, your mind is very calm, you begin, this idea of the hindrances may appear to you. They become clearer, okay? Or this idea of, okay, desire, it will arise to you, okay? So you see all this and you know, okay, these thoughts are arising regarding the mental hindrances, and then they're going away, or the thoughts are gone, okay? So you just, the thoughts come and you let them go, basically. He understands the arising of an unarisen hindrance. Now, the second one is a bit difficult to understand unless you notice the first one. So you begin to see how it arises. Here, I can only tell you in theory. I'm telling you now so that when you practice, as you sit there, doing your vipassana, doing whatever meditation you are doing, then you see, okay, here is this hindrance arising. That's number 2. You understand, oh, this is how it is arising right now. And then you notice this. It has not arisen before, now it's arising. You note it just like that. You get used to it, you see it. It's like you're watching this wild animal, you're a nature scientist. And you say, oh, okay, this lion is doing this, this gorilla is doing that, okay? So the arising of the unarisen hindrance. He understands the letting go or the abandoning of the arisen hindrance. You know, okay, if you don't do anything, you just let it go, it will go away. And lastly, he understands the non-arising of the abandoned hindrance. You say, okay, once you live like that, you don't do anything, it will not arise. So you have control of it, so to speak. So this to help us clear away this set of these 5 mental hindrances as realities arising in our minds. Okay. So again the Satipatthāna Sutta says, abandoning covetousness for the world, he dwells with a mind free from covetousness. Now, okay, here again we have to remind ourselves, what do the words mean in the meditation context? The word the world, you see? When we think of the world, remember in Dharma teachings, the world has 3 meanings. One is the physical time-space world, okay, the mountains, the planets and stars. Okay, so that is, you hear a lot about that in the story. So that is not what we're talking about in meditation. Then you have the world as people, all right? You say, oh, he's the tallest man in the world, or he's the wisest man in the world, right? So we're talking about the world of humans, the world of beings. The last one, the most important, is the world of formations. This is the one we're talking about in meditation, the world of formations. This world the mind creates and experiences. In fact, we can simplify this. The world here refers to your 6 senses, the 5 physical senses plus the mind, the sabbā, the all sabbā. Right? Remember the Sabbā Sutta? So this is, in other words, desire for the sense experiences, what comes to the eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind. This is the world that we have created. So when we understand this, we are letting go of this sense-based world. Then we dwell with a mind free from covetousness, no more being distracted by that idea that is covetousness, that is desire for it. And then next is the second hindrance, abandoning the defect of ill will. He dwells, compassionate for the welfare of all living beings. So you understand, okay, opposite of when you cannot get something you desire, you feel angry, upset. When you let go of this, you say, oh, a lot of beings suffer because of that. This thought arises in your mind. Okay, this idea of compassion. Why beings are suffering? It's their own way of thinking. So you want them to be happy. Then, how do you clear sloth and torpor? He dwells, perceiving light, mindful, clearly knowing. Okay, here's perception of light. This is one of the easiest meditation to do, and you do this with open eyes, by the way. So this is where you sit in a place where it's very bright, usually say between 9 and 12 in the morning. And then you see this beautiful space in front of you, very bright, and you just see the brightness, close your eyes, picture it, remember it, bright, and then open your eyes, look at it again, and go on back and forth, open, close eyes, and you picture this brightness in your mind until you're so good that even at night when you're sleepy, you perceive this brightness and you feel fresh and awake. And this brightness also helps you to overcome sloth and torpor. It also helps you to overcome depression, sadness, even fear. Okay, so this perception of light is very helpful in this way. Or you can sit in a bright space. In front of you something bright, so you can see this brightness. If it helps you, use this. Okay. Some people need brightness to help them in their meditation. Some people are quite happy with sitting in the dark to meditate, like in the forest. So you got to know your special needs at that time. Abandoning restlessness and worry, he dwells unagitated with his mind, still internally. So the mind's at peace, no more restlessness, no more worrying. Abandoning doubt, he dwells, having crossed over doubt, not confused over wholesome states. So this is where studying Dharma is very helpful, because sometimes we wonder, do we have this, have we done this thing rightly, have we kept the precepts, right? So we don't worry about all those things. We have clear over doubt and we're very happy with ourselves. So this is the 5 hindrances overcome. Of course, you don't do them all at once. You build them up bit by bit, and then you find you understand all of them very well. Now, Satipatthana, dhyana before or without? Right, so you have two here. Right, so let's look at this idea of dhyana before Satipatthana. Here in the Nalaka Pāna Sutta, the Buddha speaks to Anuruddha. When one still does not attain zest and joy, that are secluded. Okay, let's go back a bit. You see here, when one does not attain zest of joy, if you do not feel joy in your meditation, then you will be caught up, more easily distracted by the hindrances, by covetousness and the other four hindrances. They will invade your mind and remain. Okay, so this is the first and last line. So in between, the Buddha tells us what to do. So here, zest and joy that are secluded from sensual pleasures. In other words, when we let go of sensual pleasures, then this zest and joy arise. So this zest and joy is something more than just sensual pleasures. It's a kind of joy arising from the peace that you don't need to be stimulated by the senses anymore. And then look at this last phrase, secluded from unwholesome states. They are free from greed, hate, delusion. Okay, it's free from negative thoughts. Or something more peaceful than that. Wow, this means you attain jhana, something even higher, right? You can even go further. So it is open-ended. So that's the meaning, this zest and joy. Notice how important joy is basically, right? The zest is a kind of exuberant, very body-based kind of happiness, and joy is purely mental, very subtle, very gentle, right? So joy is very important in meditation. So some teachers teach that we have to abandon the 5 hindrances. So they interpret the Vinaya in the Satipaṭṭhāna Sutta, meaning to overcome the hindrances before you meditate. Now, it is not easy. How do you clear the hindrances before meditation? Because we are using meditation to go into Satipatthana. One possible way of explaining it is you use some other method, perhaps. Maybe one simpler method. Okay. So this one is what some teachers think. So here, these teachers, they think that the mental hindrances, of course, this is quite a universal idea. The mental hindrances are mental impurities, cetaso upakilesa, right? And they weaken wisdom because they distract you. The senses draw you down so that you don't have the chance to look up. Wisdom does not arise. Panyaya dubali karane. Dubali means to make weak. Karane cause one to be dubali, weak. Okay, and depriving us from wisdom, panyaya. They prevent us from attaining dhyana and from realizing the truth. So in other words, you cannot get that deep, joyful focus. So you have to clear away hindrances first, according to some teachers. Now, having abandoned the 5 mental hindrances, what do we do? Now, these are all these are standard sentences. So these 5 hindrances are imperfections of the mind that weaken wisdom. Then you exert yourself, clearly knowing your mind is very clear. Then you watch the body in the body. So here, in other words, what kind of meditation do you like? Some people, they reflect on the Buddha, some they reflect on the Dharma teachings, some reflect on stories of the great saints, and they do that, they get into this very deep, peaceful state. And then when they feel they get some level of peacefulness with the helping, inspiring meditation, then they watch the breath, they watch the body in the body. That's the meaning here. So this is one approach. You try to get some focus first, putting away covetousness and displeasure in the world. Okay. Now you notice here in this case, this sentence should actually come first, right? Putting away these 5 hindrances. All right. So that's the interpretation here anyway, because in Pali it is in the front actually. The meaning is in the front. But here the idea is you must clear your mind away from the hindrances before you go into the body meditation. And number 2 is the feeling-based meditation, right? So this is one way of, one interpretation, one approach to the practice. Then you watch the mind in the mind, okay? And you watch the dharmas as they arise and pass away. Right? So this is one approach. Yeah? Okay, now in order to understand what goes on in the mind, we can see that the aggregates are also connected with the Satipatthāna. How are the khandha or aggregates connected with the Satipatthāna, the 4 focuses of mindfulness? Remember, the key teachings of the Buddha, they are always interconnected somehow, and they have different purposes. So now we know the 5 aggregates are body, feeling, perception, formation, consciousness, right? And then we know that the first Satipatthana is that watching the body. So it's the same, right? Body and aggregate, rupa, and here body. But the word here uses kaya, okay? But they mean the same thing. So this is something we should be aware of, right? And then the second aggregate is feelings. Feeling, and then in the Satipatthana is feelings. Same thing, okay? We watch feelings arising, passing away, and so on. Now we come to the third Satipatthana, which is the mind, and this breaks up into 2 of the aggregates, perception and consciousness. Why? Right? Now, under the Satipatthana, the mind is a broad term because we're talking about meditation in Satipatthana. You're watching the mind, okay? You're not going to analyze it as perception and consciousness. That is to help us understand. So the 5 aggregates are for teaching us, right? You can meditate on them, but they're meant for teaching, for analytical teaching. So the 5 aggregates break up consciousness or the mind into perception, how we recall things, how we recognize things, consciousness, how we cognize things. Or perhaps I could say, consciousness first, of the senses, we cognize things. Now I can see, hear, smell, taste, touch, think things now. Okay, I'm cognizing things. Then later I will remember this. So I recognize what happened some time ago, right? That's called perception, when you recognize something. So there are 2 aspects when we talk under the aggregates. But in the Satipatthana, this is the mind. We're just watching the mind as it arises and falls, the thoughts as they arise and fall. Is our mind free from thoughts or not, right? So you see them combined into one. So there you are. This very interesting way of knowing the Dharma. And then you have formations. Formations are here the realities that we watch as the 4 Satipatthana formation. Because these are, in a sense, is the way the mind forms all these ideas of realities. So there you are. You have the 5 aggregates hand in hand with the 4 Satipatthanas. Okay. So here, where the aggregates are concerned, he understands the aggregates. We understand form, feeling, perception, formation, consciousness. He understands its arising, each of these, how they arise. You watch one by one. You notice by watching, by using your meditation, after your meditation with your mind calm and clear. He understands passing away. I notice the idea passing away. Okay. So those are the aggregates, how you watch the impermanence of it. Okay, we're nearing the end now. So we have another kind of a psychology of meditation. What we do with the meditation, with Satipatthana, for example. This is to clear our minds from looking at a twisted way into the world, perversion. Okay, we have to clear that way of looking at things. The contemplation of the body, watching the body, breath, and so on, as it is. So we see the breath as rising, falling, coming, going. We can't own it. And then we notice that we know this body is made up of the 4 elements. The breath is the wind, right? And that's all it is. There's nothing beautiful, nothing ugly about it. It is changing all the time, right? So we would not be caught up and say, oh, you know, I have a nice body, or that is a nice looking person, and we get caught up with it. So in a sense that the body is not really that pure or that beautiful, because you got to take care of the body. Imagine you don't wash for 1 day, 1 week, it's terrible. Your body starts to smell, and we got to do our toilets so often, you know, and we do it privately so that, you know, we don't frighten people. So in a sense, there are many aspects of our body which are impure. So we should not be caught up with the idea that, oh, this body is a beautiful body. We take it as it is, so that we're not attached to it. That's the idea, not to be attached to it. We're not saying that it's ugly and then we are enjoying the fact that it's ugly. No, it's not like that. We are taking it as it is. It has got lots of impurities on it, and you got to take care of it. You got to clean it regularly. That's the reality. So we should not be perverted otherwise. That's the contemplation of the body. Now, feelings, when you contemplate feelings, when you understand nature of feelings by watching it, then you begin to see that pleasure, again, is also impermanent. Right? I mean, you may think, wow, pleasure is nice, but then when it goes away, pain arises, right? So we should not say, oh, you know, this feeling is really nice, you know, I like this feeling. But the point is, when this feeling goes away, we're going to feel painful, you know, you're not going to feel happy, you're going to suffer. So again, we see it as it is. Yes, be happy while it is there, and when it goes away, also happy, smile at it. It's just like you have this good friend coming to visit you, and you chit-chat, you're very happy, but inside you're feeling quite tired. You say, oh, when will it go away, you know? And when it goes away, you're very happy. Then you say, oh, when will it come again? So basically, when it comes, you're happy. When it goes away, you're happy. That's the way it should be. And then you move on, okay? Now, when it comes to the third Satipatthāna, when watching the mind or contemplating the mind, you don't see that. Remember in the last lesson, or this is in the other lesson on the 5 aggregates, we look at the diagram of the fruit cocktail, no? That the mind moves moment to moment, and it gives the idea of continuity, and we think that it is something solid, permanent, but actually everything is changing. It's just moment to moment, like grains of sand. You see grains of sand, like, wow, it's sort of compact and the beach is flat. But when you use a microscope, you look at the sand, the particles, they actually they don't touch each other, you know. There's very tiny and they're very beautiful grains, and they're all little pieces there. So in other words, here we're talking about the mind moving all the time, like this grain of sand, not connected, but they're one by one. The mind is one by one after the other, moving in a continuous stream, and it gives us this false notion that it is permanent, but actually it's changing all the time. Like a movie strip of movie film, okay? Nothing moving there, all the single picture, but when you shine light through it, and then it moves in a certain number of frames per minute, then you have this illusion that something is moving. It seems to be permanent, but they are not connected with each other. Each frame is separate by itself. And then number 4, the dharmas, realities. Here, there is no self, right? So we should not look for self even in the way the mind thinks, because you think that the mind is something solid, you know, and there must be some kind of abiding entity there, self. There's nothing there. It's all empty. So these are the 4 perversions. Perversion of seeing something beautiful in the ugly. The perversion of seeing something pleasurable in what is really painful. Perversion of seeing something permanent in what is all impermanent. And the perversion of seeing a self, some kind of essence in what is non-self. with something with our essence. So now, when we deal with our senses, we've got to make sure that we understand correctly what's going on. First of all, you've got to know your senses for what they are. Eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. Those are the senses. They sense things of that category, and those are the objects. That's the way the senses work. We understand whatever factor that arises dependent on both. So when there is a sense of the object, and then what arises, desire, dislike, and so on, right? So we notice all this through our meditation. We understand the arising of an unarisen factor, okay? So when the factor is arising, we begin to see it. And then you notice how you sense things and how the factors arise. It's something you got to experience for yourself. This is something no one can tell you, because you have to experience this for yourself. You understand letting go of the arisen factor. So after that, the factor goes away, because you understand this wisdom has arisen in you. So you let go, you renounce it. The renunciation to get wisdom. Now we come to, there's another set of teaching that may arise as the Dharma, as reality. They're called the 7 awakening factors. This is quite deep, quite big, so I'm going to summarize for you. They're actually a summary of how you meditate. Okay? The 7 awakening factors, they're called awakening factors, factors that conduce to awakening because they help you to come closer to the path and to reach the path. It starts with mindfulness. So while you're meditating on a very deep level, you begin to see how important mindfulness is. Applying your mind in the right place, the free mind in the right place. That's mindfulness. Sati sambojjhanga. You notice the word bojjhanga. Anga means factor. Boj is from bodhi. Sam is like English con, meaning togetherness. The word by itself is bojjhanga, but when we put it into a compound, you add sam here, sambojjhanga, sati, sambojjhanga. And then here you have dhamma vichaya, sambojjhanga. Dhamma is the mental states, vichaya, investigation. The awakening factor of dhamma, investigation. Here we take dhamma as mental states, okay? Dhamma is convenient. If you say mental state investigation, it's quite a mouthful. So here, with our mindfulness, we notice what arises in our mind. We examine it as it arises. That's the meaning. You watch what's going on. So this is how you start your meditation. When you're meditating, you notice, lots of thoughts coming in and you're distracted, you watch that. Okay, that's Dhamma investigation. You go on watching that as it is. So you keep on doing that, that's your effort, virya sambojjhanga. So you keep on doing that, you do that. And when you do that, then zest, that sense of joy arises because you are on track. You are not distracted. So that piti is joy, zest, that energizes you, joyful interest that keeps you going. And when you keep on going, it's like you're going on a journey, then you feel happy because you are finishing the journey. You get a sense of tranquility of body and mind, passaddhi sambojjhanga. So your mind, body settles, and when the mind and body settles, you get concentration, samadhi, samadhi sambojjhanga, awakening factor of mental concentration, or awakening factor of samadhi, if you like, because samadhi also is an English word now. And then finally, there's a special term here, the awakening factor of, or awakening factor that is equanimity, upekkha. Equanimity means that inner peace, balanced mind. Here is a broad term. My understanding is a broad term. It can be any kind of peace you have attained that is based on meditation. It can be simple samadhi, it can be jhana, very deep focus, right? So, but your mind is at peace and you feel very happy. So these are the 7 awakening factors. They are the opposite of the 5 mental hindrances. Okay, now again, as I said nearing the end, at the end of every Satipatthana verse, you have what's called a refrain, like a chorus in a song. So, for example, the Buddha says, watch the body in the body, and then you're watching the breath and so on. And then at the end of it, so he dwells, contemplating body in the body internally, or so he dwells, contemplating feeling in the feeling internally, and so on. Okay. And then contemplating mind in body in body externally, feeling in feeling externally, mind in mind externally, and so on. Okay. Now, of course, you have a bit of a problem here. How do you watch other people's mind externally? It's quite tricky, right? I will explain this a little later. Then 3, or you can do this Satipatthana, both watching body and body in the body, both internally and externally. In other words, alternating. Or he dwells contemplating states that arise in the body, like so whatever arise in the body, in feelings, the mind, dharmas, you watch it as mentioned earlier. And then you watch it passing away. When it goes away, what rises must go away. He dwells contemplating states that arise and pass away in the body. So here you see again these two action of rising, passing away, right? So at first you watch only one of it, either arising or passing away, then later you watch both. Or else he maintains the mindfulness there is a body, or there is this feeling, or there is this mental state, or there is this dharma. Merely for knowing and awareness. So you're not caught up with that it's some big concept, it is something like an essence, like a soul. No, just for knowing and awareness at that time, so that you don't think too much about it. You go on with your meditation. And so he dwells impermanent, not clinging to anything in this world, not even to any thoughts. Okay. Now I mentioned, how do we watch all these external things? Of course, here there is a whole section in the notes on the Satipatthāna Sutta, which explain all this. I'm only going to tell you briefly. Once you do your meditation very well, you begin to read people better. You look at them, you can feel whether they're happy or they're not happy, and you just, in your mind, you stay with that. Okay, so that is externally, and then you kind of switch back and forth. So, of course, in due course, as your meditation becomes really good, you cultivate all these mental powers, then you're able to read people's mind even better. So here, this is more like a sort of a promise, like what you will get, what you can become. Your mind becomes more clear, focused, able to read other people's mind, and that helps you to get along with people better, teach them better, help them better, and so on. And that bhikshus is how a monk dwells contemplating body in the body, feelings in feelings, mind in mind, dharma in dharmas, basically. Okay. So, goals of Satipatthana. So at the end of the Satipatthana Sutta, the Buddha gives us this interesting promise. It says, whoever bhikshus were to cultivate these 4 basic focus of mindfulness in this way for just 7 years. And then the Sutta goes on to say, 7 years, 6 years, 5 years, 4 years, and so on. It goes down quite a long passage. So here we go, top end and bottom end. The shortest is 7 days. Even if you meditate for as short as 7 days, so you have 7-day retreats, right? So the tradition started from this. If you do it properly, either 7 years or 7 days, you may expect one of 2 results, one of 2 fruits. Either arahathood in this life, in this very life, or if there is any residue of clinging, non-returning. So if you do properly and everything is correct, you can attain arahathood in this life itself, especially for monks. But if you are still caught up, you have some of the, what I call fetters, the mental fetters still there, especially restlessness. For example, even non-Rishnas have restlessness because of their compassion. they feel restless. They look around, they see, oh, look at all these people, they're so ignorant, they're suffering, why can't they, let go? So they feel this compassion, but they don't feel restless. But in the other heart, all this is gone, right? So you still have that kind of restlessness, of course, you still become a non-returner. You will still attain that level of awakening, which keeps you safe from suffering. That's the meaning. So either arahathood or non-returning. So what if you are a non-dhyana meditator? What if, most of us have difficulty, how do we get jhana, right? So you can see the first three Satipatthānas on the body, feeling, and the mind as ways of letting go of the hindrances or distractions in their gross forms. In other words, in keeping with the precepts, 5 precepts, you clear your mind so that your body can be calm, and you have some level of calmness, very basic calmness. And the 4th Satipatthana is we observe those teachings, the hindrances, the 7 awakening factors as they arise. You learn, find out more what they are, what they do, and practice them. The 5 hindrances are what's difficult for us to clear with totally. So we try to clear as much as we can. And even clearing a bit, if we do it properly, then there is clear mindfulness. Our mind works very clearly, there's full knowing. Then we're able to see impermanence more clearly. The perception of impermanence is more complete. And that's when we will attain stream winning, all right? So sometimes there's this, is where you have to let go. That is why the Buddha says you will attain stream winning in this life itself. If not, definitely at the end of the life, the last stop moment, because that's the result of your habitual karma of learning to let go of distractions and focusing on impermanence. So your last thought also will be like that. Right, so there you are. We have come to the end of this teaching. You have 15 minutes for questions.
Thank you, Piya. Could you please stop sharing so that we can go to our Q&A?
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, here we are. So, okay, can you see the whole screen now?
Yes, yes.
Okay, good.
All right. We have a few questions in the chat box.
Okay.
Just a moment now. Okay, we have a question from Mayang. Mayang, can you please unmute yourself and ask a question live? Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Sister Ratna,
Thank you.
You can hear me, right?
Yes.
Yes, Ken.
I was asking about, there was this table of when you're doing mind contemplation, it's a lustful mind, a lust-free mind. So in that there was narrow mind and great mind and distracted and another mind.
Yes.
I wanted to know a little bit more on that.
Okay, those are basically while you're meditating and you find your difficulties, you understand what kind of mind is it, okay? Now, as I said, the details can be found in what I've written, but when you're practicing, don't worry too much, okay? Which one is this? You know when you're meditating, I'm not focused now, for example, that you know, okay, you use that as your object. You say, there is this distraction. Usually a word like distraction is good enough for you to have a handle with it, of that situation. The reason for all these terms is so that your mind don't go astray. Don't go around and say, what is it? Oh, what did I learn here? What term shall I use here? Then you're thinking already. So the idea is to touch and go. Here is this mind. It is distracted. All right. So okay, fine, distracted. That's it. And you push it away. Then your mind is undistracted. You see, that's the way this idea works for us.
Okay. So the exact framework or the exact terms are not as important as long as you are just aware of the distraction and then come
Yes,
back.
depending on your level of understanding. Then as you progress, for example, you say, oh, okay, now you understand better, narrow mind means slot and topper, things like that. Then you notice slot and topper, see? So you don't have to say narrow mind for slot and topper. You can say, okay, this is slot and topper. This is, I feel tired, I feel bored, right? You don't have to think of the exact terminology at that time since you do not know it yet. All this come later when your understanding grows. Then you use it. Then it becomes clearer, and that helps you to become a good teacher, right? So you work with what you have, and then you build step by step like that. When we start our meditation, we don't start with full knowledge what's going on. We know a little bit, and then we build up like that, like corals, build up, you see. So don't worry about what you don't know. Start with what you know, and then read up those things that you miss out, listen to talks, and then you build up, you have a better idea of the definitions of various aspects of distractions, various aspects of focus, and then you use those terms. Those are the technical aspects. So you build up your focus. That is what's important, not the theory. So my advice is read up all those details. There are quite a number of details there, and then more important is how to deal with them. And you have all the time that you go on reading that, and then you forget, you read again like that, Okay, let's go on.
Okay, thank you, Piya, and thank you, Mayang, for your question. Now we ask Ryan to unmute himself.
Yes.
Ryan, please.
Sadhu Bante.
Yes, yeah.
This, the hindrances, they affect different people differently. And some people are more prone to certain type of hindrances.
Correct, yeah, yes.
And some days we are affected differently.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Is there any logical, what follows naturally that we should work on first, or are they, do they affect different people?
Emotions, no logic. Emotions have no logic. They just respond. The only logic is perhaps conditionality. But the problem, you don't know what those conditions are. Because those conditions can be diverse, Then again, the mind changes very fast, all right? So all we can do is deal with the mind as it arises. That is why, remember, we are told again and again in our study today, watch the mind. How is it arising? And then it goes away. Okay, now you know it has gone away. That's what we do. We watch it as it comes, as it goes. It's like you are a soldier guarding the frontier. You see, okay, enemy is coming, and then they're going. Okay, you know that, and then we are safe. Something like that. So watch their rising and falling. In some suttas, you'll find this what's mentioned. Watch their rising and falling, and that is in essence what we have spent about 2 hours talking today. So notice all these hindrances, how they arise, how they pass away, and then you're free. You go on like that. And the better you are at this, the better you will push them away. So this part, no amount of talks can help you. Now is the time to apply this to your practice. Notice what's going on. You can't remember, watch this video again, or read the Satipatthāna Sutta M10 again, and that section, and then reflect on it. And then look at the notes, the connected suttas, and then you find there are always teachings there that will say, oh yes, now I got it, like that. Of course, you can write to me as a last resort if you want to, but nothing like, spending time with the sutta. You might discover things which I may have missed, right? So that's called rising and falling, watching rising and falling. Okay, let's go on.
Okay, thank you. Ryan, you have another question? Please go on.
Can we let others ask first, then I'll come back later?
There isn't any question.
Yeah, for the moment you can go on.
Yeah.
Okay. The meditation involves a prolonged period of no activity, inactivity. And modern days we talk about DVT, where you sit in a particular position for a long time to suffer DVT. Was this something that affected? Was this something that was known to affect the ancient meditator practitioner? Were monks given any other physical sets of training that they did not suffer?
Okay. So you're saying that from the physical health point of view, sitting too long might not be helpful. Is that what you're saying?
Okay. When we are trying to meditate, we try to sit in a certain position for a long period without activity.
Yeah, over a long time, yes.
And so modern days we call it DVT. It affects our physical well-being.
Okay.
I'm just wondering whether in the past were they anybody who were not known from DVT, or is this something fairly recent? Could it be because they had done certain training?
Yes, they know yoga, the proper way of sitting, and they start young. That's the other thing. So their limbs are more limber, as we say. They easily get to yoga posture, cross-legged, even full lotus. So we don't have the kind of training. Most of us don't. We start late in life and never to cross our legs. That is why you are often reminded. All the meditation teachers will tell you, get into the right posture, use cushions, and you see Westerners use lots of cushions, like all kinds of new cushions, fantastic designs. So you adjust accordingly. Okay, you can use chairs, right? In other words, find the way of sitting where there is good blood flow, no constriction, very important. And that one you have to adjust the way you sit. And maybe use some smaller pillows to support your legs if you need to, especially under the knees. Then once you get into good meditation, you would just float in for say 1 hour, 2 hours, even longer. And so you come out of the meditation, then you have to stretch your legs, okay? Then you slowly stretch your legs out, massage it a bit for the circulation. And then when you feel ready, then you slowly stand up. Young people, of course, easier, but for seniors, you have to be more careful. Okay, you can even have a good armchair near you so you can hold on to it and then stand up. That's another way. So you must know all these basic rules of the way the body works if you have long sitting. Now the next rule is, if you find that you sit for a while and then you're still not focused, then switch to another posture, do walking meditation. So walking and sitting. So the general rule is 45 minutes of sitting, about 15 minutes of walking. Okay. In fact, if you go for some of those like Vipassana retreat, they make you sit for a long time. Right, but they of course tell you you can do your walking meditation too. So that helps you to stretch your body a bit. Another way is you don't have to do walking if you think you want to sit. Then you standing meditation, because walking, part of it is standing meditation. So you stand up, all right, and then just gently stretch your legs a bit mindfully, all right, and basically, you're letting your blood flow more freely. Even nowadays, if we sit too long in a chair, these agronomists will tell us, just stand up after a few, say half an hour, just stand up, a bit, and maybe just walk around the room a bit. So you can apply that to your meditation also, so long as you have not got that focus yet. Because once you get into samadhi, the mind takes over, then that is another story. You don't have to worry about the body, all right? It's when you have no focus, you have to somehow respect the body a bit so that you keep it well circulated. And then you get back to the posture, properly seated. Posture is very important. You notice in our meditation, I always say in the first part, spend some time making sure you are seated properly in your meditation. Okay? Okay, next question.
Thank you, Piya. Yeah. Anyone else has any question? This is your chance to ask.
Yeah, we have 5 minutes more.
You can put up your hands. Yes, Sita, please unmute yourself. Unmute yourself.
Okay.
Yeah, this I noticed that this arising, watching this arising and passing away, and then letting go, and then again, then you develop. You come to a sense, you develop, and you get perfect, become perfect, and there wisdom arises.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have a question?
Yeah, I noticed that this part of where the wisdom started,
Mm.
that is my, what shall I say?
So you want to know how wisdom arises, is it?
No, I feel, I noticed this, I experience this arising and falling, and then letting go. This is the rhythmus, yeah? And then you, during the meditation, then you develop. You know, in the sense, I mean, you in your meditation, you develop, and then you start questioning yourself, and you find here then the wisdom.
Okay. Yeah. You see, what's interesting about wisdom is, it's not what you know, it is asking the right questions. When you ask the right questions, the answers are already there, something like that.
Yeah. During meditation, then you start pondering, and then you start asking yourself. Then I say, this can only be wisdom after you have gone through this arising and passing away.
Yeah.
And
okay. So I just take your time.
Yeah, I think that means you get the answer.
Yeah,
the wisdom is the answer.
Yeah, sometimes the answer, the realization, cannot be put into words. That is why the Buddha took 7 times 7 days, 49 days. Partly he was enjoying the peace, and then all this, he started reflecting on it. How shall I approach this dharma? How shall I teach it? Yeah. So you have this sense of, you say, oh, now I see. But then now I see is just a few seconds.
Realizing.
But then it's going to take quite a long time to explain or to write a book about it, right? So
but then this little 2-3 minutes of realization and then discovering the truth.
Yeah.
That is
when it unfolds, it can be quite a lot. Okay. That's the nature of wisdom. Yeah.
Okay.
Then later on, further, when you meditate further, you find, oh, okay, that's only the beginning, and then you're somehow coming. It goes on like that. Then you fine tune it. It's like you're looking through a telescope, and at first you get a hazy picture because you're not focused. You're in the range, the feel of that planet or stars, whatever, and then slowly you focus it better and better, and you see even more clearly. So wisdom is like that. First, you are in the right direction, and after that, you get a clearer image, and then you clear it even more. You focus it even more like that.
And that is where you become your own teacher.
Exactly. Yes. It's called self-reliance. Okay? Self-reliance, and then that is why the Buddha says in Satipatthāna, be an island unto yourself. Okay. That's the meaning, because only you can know yourself. All right. At first, it seems to be like an island that you're sitting on. And some people say, oh, Buddhism is so antisocial. Not at all. This time we're talking about the nature of the mind. You got to sit and face your own mind. That's your island. But then when you meditate, the flood goes away, right? Okay, all the floods are all the defilements. And when the floods go away, what do you see? You see all these mountains around you. They're all mountains. The islands are all mountains. Everyone is a mountain. Okay, that's the beautiful wisdom that arises in you.
Yeah.
Okay, now, okay, we already reached our time. Any other last minute important question you need to ask?
Yes, there is a question from
Okay.
Elsie.
Sure.
Elsie, you want to unmute yourself, please? To ask a question?
Oh, I see return the
No
question.
respond.
I see
Okay, never
return.
mind. I'll read from the chat box.
Yeah,
Okay. When I meditate after 5 minutes, I feel body discomfort hindrance, and after 10 minutes the body hindrance go away. Then the mind hindrances come in, and after another 5 minutes I manage to settle down. Another 5 minutes I manage to settle down, having feel like in a very dark cave looking out. A small purplish light could float in front of my mind, in front of my eye. At the situation, I feel blissful until in awaken as I wish with mind handphone alarm set for 30 minutes. Am I on the right path?
Okay, you're describing a particular experience. The important thing is do not particularize your experiences. All right. Whatever you experience in your meditation is mind-made. That's the important word to remember. Mind-made. Remember this magic word. Okay, here let me tell you a really funny story. These two monks, you know, one is supposed to be a teacher, and he tells his students, okay, let's meditate together now. Okay, now picture an elephant. Okay, it's just a story. Okay, so picture an elephant. Okay, and then they meditate, and then the teacher say, can you see the elephant? And the students say, yes, I can see. And the teacher say, okay. And the teacher opened his eyes, he actually saw an elephant coming, real elephant. So he tells his student, hey, get up, there's an elephant coming. And the student keeps on meditating. He said, no, teacher, it's all mind-made. Actually, there's no elephant. No. It was so real that the teacher got terrified, you know. So this story is ridiculous, but it happens in our meditation. We actually think, oh, what beautiful lights. You may see lights in your meditation, but remember, your eyes are closed when you meditate, right? So they're not real lights. They are mind-made, okay? So always tell yourself, mind-made. But what does it mean when you say it's mind-made? That means it is impermanent. It is constructed. Your mind constructed it. Your mind sees it. And then later on, when you meditate a bit more, these lights become even more beautiful, like fireworks, you know, and the different ways that the commentaries describe. Sometimes you feel like these lights are like sparkles, they flow down to your body, sometimes they drop on you like rain, and so on. Yeah, so these are all mind-made. Okay, it shows that you're on the right track, but remember, these are signposts. You have to stop there, let go of them, stop there, watch them for a while if you like, but you got to move on, let go of them, and then continue your journey. So I would say, yes, generally you're doing okay. You're doing it right. Just don't get too caught up with all these sideshows. These are sideshows. What you want is the peaceful concentration. And when you come out of it, your mind is calm and clear, and you see things around you much better, what's going on, and you know what to do. That is the result of good meditation. Is that clear enough? Okay.
Okay, thank you, Piya.
Right.
All right, now we take photos before
Okay.
we conclude our lesson. Please
Yes.
turn on your videos.
Yeah.
Okay, one more. 1, 2, 3, smart. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. All right. So now we are close now.
Yes, please proceed, Piya.
All right. Once again, we are reaching near the very end of our series. Maybe 1 or 2 lectures more to go. And it's a time for us to recollect all these things we have learned, put them into practice. These are wonderful moments of getting together in friendship, in Dhamma, Okay, so by all the good deeds we have done in this gathering, the sacrifices we have made, by renouncing the world for a while, by all these good deeds, may we be well and happy. May I be well and happy, tell yourself. And send your kind thoughts to your loved ones, wishing them all well and happy wherever they may be. And also this is a time for us to show our gratitude to our teacher, the Buddha, the teaching, the Dharma, and the saints, the noble saints who have been very good examples to us. Arahang Sammā Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Sanghang Namami. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, very good.
Thank you, everybody.
See you all. Yes.
Good night, Teacher Piya.
Yes, good
Thank
night
you so
to you
much.
too. Yes, good night.
Good night, Ratna sister.
Yeah, do stay
Good night,
safe
everybody.
wherever you all are. Okay.
Right.